Hi, my name is Fernando Garcia, and I will be doing a marketing analysis on Krispy Kreme donuts. In July 1937, Vernon Rudolph bought a secret yeast rice donut recipe from a New Orleans French chef, rented a building in what is now historic Old Salem and Winston-Salem in North Carolina, and began selling Krispy Kreme donuts to local grocery stores. The delicious scent of cooking donuts drifted into the streets, and passersby stopped to ask if they could buy hot donuts. So he cut a hole in an outside wall and started selling hot original glazed donuts directly to the customers on the sidewalk. In 1963, hand production was a thing of the past and automation took over. The planning and timing of production became a vital task. In 1973, Vernon Rudolph died, and Krispy Kreme was held by a bank for 3 years. At this point, Krispy Kreme had about 60 shops, and it had grown throughout the southeastern chain. Um, in 1976, after Vernon Rudolph's death, the Beatrice Foods Company acquired Krispy Kreme. In 1982, a group of franchisees bought back Krispy Kreme to refocus the company on hot donut experience. As the chain grew, things got a lot more interesting. So in 1989, the first retail-only store is open, which brought the donuts out to the customers on also in High Point Road on Greensboro, North Carolina. I believe it's called on the 180 curve. The innovative menu system helped shops to be able to order products at a much faster pace than the former paper ordering system. I found a quote from one of the team members that were testing the program saying, "I can order in 15 minutes, it's amazing. I can change orders when necessary and then print my checks." Since this, Krispy Kreme Information Services Department has been researching innovative solutions to provide ease to team members and guests. In the year 2000, the company went public in the Nasdaq under KREM. But in 2001, since the company did so well, it switched over to the New York Stock Exchange under the symbol KKD, which is where they are now. In 2001, the company went international into Canada by opening their first store in just outside of Toronto. Um, in 2012, the company celebrated its 500th international opening in Aguascalientes, Mexico. Since the first international opening in Canada, they have actually expanded into 21 international markets. Today, there's over 1,000 shops in the world of Krispy Kreme in a total of 24 countries. Market research indicates that Krispy Kreme's breadth of appeal extends across all major demographic groups, including age and income, meaning older people, young kids, rich, the poor, everybody knows the taste of a Krispy Kreme donut. It's very different. The Krispy Kreme brand has several unique elements that have helped them create a special bond with their customers. Their donuts, which is made with the same recipe that the owner purchased back in 1937, have a one-of-a-kind taste, and it crosses generations, which has created a very loyal following. Their hot donuts now sign, which you see here on your left, it's a great marketing tactic in the sense that it tells their customers that their signature product, which is the hot original glazed donut, is being made. The hot donut now sign is a strong impulse purchase generator and an integral contributor to the brand's mystique. Also, Krispy Kreme Donut is committed to a strong local community relationship. Each store operator supports their local communities through popular fundraising programs and the sponsorship of local events. Furthermore, here we're going to see the two markets that Krispy Kreme Donuts is involved in. The first is pretty obvious, is the restaurant industry. Within the restaurant industry, you have segments. The first one would be fast food. Then you'll have the fast casual, which is a better quality or higher quality. And then you have full service, which is your sit-in restaurants and higher quality product. The second market is the prepackaged donuts market, which we're not going to get into. We're going to focus mostly on the restaurant industry, because that is where Krispy Kreme donuts and their mystique, their brand, it was really where it was born and nurtured. Even though originally they started with the prepackaged donuts and sold to grocery stores, as time has gone by, they have sold directly to the customers, and they have built rapport and a well-established following because of their taste, because a customer gets to see the donuts being made um, through a glass. They could see the machine cook the donut. They could see the donut fall into the grease, being cooked on each side, and then being glazed. And if you walk into any Krispy Kreme today, you could get a free sample, a free donut, fresh off the machine. Here we have the key competitors for Krispy Kreme donuts. Krispy Kreme donuts, when we focus in the food industry, they fall under the segments of fast food and fast casual because, again, they are fast food, but also their donuts are considered gourmet because they are made at the moment that you purchase them. So here you can see that their major competitors being Dunkin' Donuts, Starbucks, Shipley's Donuts, and Tim Hortons are the bigger competitors because, again, Dunkin' Donuts sells donuts similarly to Shipley's. Starbucks and Tim Hortons, they offer breakfast items that compete directly with Krispy Kreme donuts, and they also offer pastries. All of these companies, as well as Krispy Kreme, also sell coffee, which is a big part of their income. I believe that the biggest um, coffees have about a 70 to 85% gross margin. So it's something very important, and all these competitors provide a competition to Krispy Kreme. Here we have the market share of the leading donut and ice cream chains in 2005. This is from a report done by Pedro Espino Vargas in LinkedIn, and he got his information from Market Share Reporter. So this here, if you look at the market share when it comes to leading donut and ice cream chains, Dunkin' Donuts is the leader with the biggest portion of the market share. Then they're followed up by Tim Horton and Dairy Queen. As you can see, Krispy Kreme in 2005 held a market share of 6.8%. And that may not seem like a lot, but Dunkin' Donuts has a lot more locations compared to Krispy Kreme. They are a lot more vested in their breakfast areas and stuff of that sort. But here, this is a great shot of this aspect of the business, which is leading donut and ice cream chains. Although we're not touching up much on ice cream chains, this is one of the a good pie graph that I found that I wanted to share. Furthermore, from Mr. Vargas's report, you can see now, this is what I was talking about earlier about gourmet coffees. You can see that Starbucks obviously holds the biggest piece of the market share with 43%. Again, followed, well, not very closely, but about half of them, their percentage, which is 27%, goes to Dunkin' Donuts. And then Krispy Kreme has only 5% of their market share. Now here I see an opportunity for Krispy Kreme to grow. The donuts, their brand has a very strong following for high quality donuts. I think that if they could couple that with strong coffee that customers want and customers seek, and compete with Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts in this aspect, their bottom line could definitely grow exponentially. I think this is probably the biggest opportunity for Krispy Kreme to reach out and develop more its market, actually establish a coffee that people want. Just establish different flavors, whether they're iced coffees, which I believe they have already, but it's not as popular or as marketed as Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts. So I think this is a great opportunity for them. This here is a report I found by IBIS World. Back in 2012, they did a research on key statistics that fall under the donut stores um, in the world. So here, the key statistics, a snapshot, you can see the revenue as 11.66 billion. So that's the total market share. Well, that's what it was in 2012. The annual growth from 2007 to 2012 was 2.5%. The annual growth that was forecasted at the time from 2012 to 2017 was 3.8. And you can see out of the 11.6 billion dollars, you could see that there's a total profit of 439.5 million dollars with the wages of 2 billion. Here on the top left, we have the exact same report by IBIS World, and on the right, this is a report that I found by adage.com. And here what you can see, and the most important thing to see, if we look at 2012, their sales is 569 million. Now, if you compare that to the total revenue in the statistics, a report ran by IBIS World, that's about 5% of the market share, which is pretty accurate with what we've seen with the other reports. So, and if you also look at the report on the right hand side, on the top donut, it shows how they peaked in 2005 with $1.07 billion in sales. And then they had a decline after that because they had some internal issues, they had fraud with some of their executives, and then also the recession of 2007, 2008. You could see how they started declining soon before that. But I think one of their weaknesses, the reason why they decline, in all honesty, is because they kind of overexposed themselves. They opened a bunch of stores. If you look at the bottom donut on the right hand side, it tells you how many stores they had. So in 2005, they in 2004 they peaked with 393. Now, part of the mystique in Krispy Kreme is the donuts, the flavor of the donuts, like how unique and how rare it is. And so when they open 393 stores, although some people can see it as, being in multiple markets, but with Krispy Kreme, I think they need to have a certain area. They can't build stores too close to each other because they lose that mystique. Too much of anything is too much. So I think that in the earlier days, they did a lot of they were in North Carolina, then they spread towards the southeast, and then once they made it California and spread all across the country, I think they just opened too many stores, maybe too fast, and they forgot that their brand had a certain mystique. If you see that, as far as stores being opened, they bottomed out on in 2009, but they definitely rebounded. Also, if you look at the sales, their sales have rebounded ever since. And even with less stores, if you look at the current year, which in this report is 2013, they have sales of 620 million with 253 stores. And that's higher than your 2007 totals, where in 2007, you had about the same amount of stores. You're rebounding back that way. But I don't see the company opening as many stores as before. I think that they need to keep that mystique, keep people wanting, kind of wondering what it is special about them. Now, here's a great strength that I found for Krispy Kreme, which is the donut sentiment, which sounds a little bit funny, but when customers, when they were mentioned a brand, a type of donut, a chain, compared to Dunkin' Donuts, who has a big, probably 5 times the size of the market share than Krispy Kreme, Dunkin' Donuts only received 80% positive sentiment, when Krispy Kreme received 96%. Now, this is from a report done by Sherry Merstar from LinkedIn also. You could see that, Krispy Kreme donut, people just they like them that much better. Um, they have, people want something that has a positive brand, something that's gonna hold strong for a long time. And the brand of Krispy Kreme, regardless of everything that happened inside their corporate offices, and even after closing stores and having a decline, people still have a positive perception of them, because anybody that's walked into a Krispy Kreme donuts, it's an it's an experience. It's not just going to buy donuts, like say going to Shipley's or any other donut store. Excuse me. So this is a definitely indicator of how strong their brand is and their product. Now here's a chart of the Krispy Kreme stock performance. Excuse me. And you can see that this year has been pretty steady. They've rebounded fairly well. The one thing that really threatens Krispy Kreme donuts is there's been such a health movement to, you've seen so many health places come up. You've seen so many people being health conscious that donuts are perceived to be bad for you, which they are. They are high in trans fat, and they receive a lot of media attention. And even in some countries, in some states here in the United States, they, they've actually been banned. In New York, you've seen, they banned, soda from schools and all that. So the trans fat is appalling when it's considered for the overall size of each donut. So, it's very important for Krispy Kreme to start thinking in a marketing aspect, that they need to think of what's happening in the environment, what's happening in society, and show that they are um, responsible to society by providing some kind of healthier option, other than their donuts. I think this is a great opportunity for them. Now it's a weakness that their main item is so bad for people's health, but it's a strength in the sense that they can provide they could provide a lot better option, a healthier option, to couple with their unhealthy item. So I think this is a great opportunity. I hope you enjoyed the slides. I hope I answered all of your questions. Um, Thank you for listening.